Hey guys, it's Izzy here. We're at an up and close personal angle. I don't know what I was trying to say. But we are going to be looking at thrillers today because thrillers I kind of associate with September, not kind of, I do. I think September is the perfect time to pick up a thriller and just really get in that atmosphere. So I want to talk about some that I would like to read sometime soon. Let's get into it. The first one I have here is Uncle Paul by Celia Fremlin. This is not one that I found myself. This is one that I got in the Shakespeare and Company subscription box, which I highly recommend that because I've gotten so many books that I would have never heard of before if it was not for that box. So I am going to leave their website link down below. I don't know how often they have when you can become a member of the subscription, because I did have to wait a few months. This is a 1950s novel. It's a slow-burning but thrilling read. Sisters Meg and Isabel are joined on their seaside holiday by their older half-sister Mildred. They were just girls when Mildred married Uncle Paul, the handsome, mysterious man who suddenly disappeared from their lives after his murderous past was unearthed. Now, due to be released from prison, the women are fraught with suspicion and fear as they wonder whether Paul will return to take his revenge and on whom. So I think a 1950s one is just going to be kind of fun and cozy. I don't know why. I just think it'll be cozy because I feel like maybe they weren't willing to go as dark as we go today with thrillers. But I mean, I really do not know. But this one is short and sweet, less than 300 pages there, and love this cover. If you can see the drops of blood, this really cool cover there. The next one is another British one. This is one that I got from Book of the Month. They'll be linked down below too. This is followed by Millions Watched by One, People Like Her by Elroy Lloyd, which is an author duo. I think they're actually a couple. This one is going really into like family. I don't want to say vlogging because I think it's more this Instagram, but how that can be exploitive. Ruby Frankie case there, which I have been loving following, but how maybe you need to rethink of things that you put on social media. I definitely have been thinking a lot about that lately, of how much do we really want to put out there, because we do not know who is consuming this content. At least we don't know everybody that's consuming the content, and sometimes it has led to very dark things happening, and that's what this book's about. And I love this color. It's like Barbie pink there. This one was one that was nominated for the Booker Prize. I have a nice used copy. Like, this is used, and look how good quality this is. So this is The Trees by Percival Everett. This is a blistering tale of revenge in the Deep South by the iconoclastic Percival Everett. So Southern Gothic. I love it. I love just Southern fiction in general. I don't know, like, just the writing of Southern fiction is also similar, like Pat Conroy, Donna Tartt, and then I started my first Cormac McCarthy, I think that's his name. I started my first book by him last night, and the writing is all just so similar, and it's very dense, I'm going to say, but I love it. So if you're not somebody who wants a dense time, don't go for those. I don't know if this will be dense or not, so I feel like thrillers typically are not, but it was nominated for the Booker Prize, so I feel like that makes it more intelligent, I guess. But let's see. So this is when a pair of detectives from the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation arrive in Money, Mississippi to investigate a series of brutal murders. They find at each crime scene an unexpected second dead body, that of a man who resembles Emmett Till. After meeting resistance from the local sheriff, his deputy, the coroner, and a string of racist white townsfolk, the NBI detectives suspect these are killings of retribution. Then they discover eerily similar murders taking place in rapid succession all over the country. The past, it seems, refuses to be buried. The uprising has begun in this provocative page-turner that takes direct aim at racism and police violence. Percival Everett offers a devastating critique of white supremacy and confronts the painful legacy of lynching in the United States. So I think this one will be super interesting. Oh my. I'm just noticing all these names on here. Are they names of people who have been lynched? I wonder. I've had this book for months, and I'm just now noticing that. That is super interesting. We'll have to see how all that goes. So I think this one was a gift, I'm pretty sure. This is Madam by Phoebe Wynne. And I feel like I have another book by that author as well, but I'm not... Oh, this is her first novel, but maybe she's published one since. Looks British. At least European, who knows? Oh, it's Scottish, so I was right. So they want our silence, they want our obedience. Let them set our fire burn. Let them see our fire burn, my bad. For 150 years, highly above rocky Scottish cliffs, Caldunbury Hall has sat untouched, a beacon of excellence in an old ancestral castle, a boarding school for girls. It promises that the young women lucky enough to be admitted will emerge resilient and ready to serve society. So the first thing that piques my interest is it being set at like an old ancestral castle. I love those kind of settings. Really, my favorite is English estates. I haven't read a Scottish one, and I feel like that setting again is perfect for this time of year. Just kind of spooky. I picture like a fog over moors. Amazing. So into its illustrious mid-steps, Rose Christie, a 26-year-old classics teacher, Caldunbury's new head of the department and the first hire for the school in over a decade. At first, Rose is overwhelmed to be invited into this institution whose prestige is unrivaled. But she quickly uncovers that behind the school's elitist veneer lies an impenetrable, starkly traditional culture that she struggles to reconcile with her modernist beliefs, not to mention her commitment to educating girls for the future. Okay, with her last name being Christie, I'm like, are we going to have some Agatha Christie vibes thrown in? And then, as this is at a school, this does scream dark academia, which I'm not a huge dark academia person. Like, it's fine. It's not one of my favorites, but I'm fine with it. But I know a ton of people love it, and I do think, once again, September is a good time to read that because September is kind of like back to school for a lot of people. So dark academia is about academics, so it's fitting. It does take long for Rose to suspect that there's more to the secret circumstances surrounding the abrupt departure of her predecessor, a woman whose ghost lingers everywhere, than anyone is willing to let on. In her search for the mysterious former teacher, Rose instead uncovers the darkness that beats at the heart of Caldunbury, forcing her to confront the true extent of the school's nefarious, I never know that word, purpose and her own role in perpetrating it. Okay, next stack here, we have a big beast, and that is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. This is a remastered full color edition as well. This one intimidates me so much. Just, let's do a flip through here. Do y'all see how different each page is? That fan is really nice, but it is so unique, and I feel like you have to read it physically. It's over 700 pages, but as you saw, multimedia. I honestly don't even know, like, I hear what it's about, but I'm like, is that really what it's about? Like, I'm so confused by all that. Backstory for how I got this book. I got it at the Amazon bookstore in Georgetown, which is in Washington, D.C. They've since closed that store, but it's one of my favorites I've ever been to, and I'm so upset they closed it. I know a lot of people hate Amazon, but I'm not one of those people. I love Amazon, but the people at the store were so kind, and I love talking about books with them. And that was the day where there must have been some kind of hack on Amazon and on a lot of big companies, because the cash register wasn't working, so they couldn't take cards, so I had to pay cash for everything. But they were just so patient and kind and everything, and we love to see that. What is this book about? Years ago, when House of Leaves was first being passed around, it was nothing more than a badly bundled heap of paper, parts of which would occasionally surface on the internet. No one could have anticipated the small but devoted following this terrifying story would soon command. Starting with an old assortment of marginalized youth, musicians, tattoo artists, programmers, strippers, environmentalists, and adrenaline junkies, the book eventually made its way into the hands of older generations, who not only found themselves in the strangely arranged pages, but also discovered a way back into the lives of their estranged children. Like, it just seems so real to me, and that kind of scares me. Also, look at that side of the Polaroids. Pretty cool. Now for the first time, this astounding novel is made available in book form, complete with the original colored words, vertical footnotes, and newly added second and third appendices. See, like, is this real? I don't know. The story remains unchanged, focusing on the young family that moves into a small house on Ash Tree Lane where they discover something terribly wrong. Their house is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. So I am really confused by this book and definitely do need to get to it sometime. We have a more traditional thriller, and this is More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie. I cannot read that font. And it's the same there. Gutierrez. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with cursive, so I don't know what that's. This one is an evocative drama about a woman caught leading a double life after one husband murders the other, and the true crime writer who becomes obsessed with telling her story. This masterful work of literary suspense makes the debut of an extraordinary new writer. 2 timelines, one in 1985 in Mexico City, and then in 2017. And I just love, like, Sadie was a book by Courtney Summers. And that one I love because we had the crime, we had that story, then we had the story of a podcast going after it, trying to uncover who the killer was and all of that. So I do love when we have those, like, dual timelines in fiction and thrillers. Well, this is another one I got in a subscription box, the Unplugged book box. All the goodies here, and there's the author's autograph, Ashley Winstead. This is another Texas one, because that one, the one I just showed y'all, had Laderdo in it. So this is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I do think this one is like more of cult vibes, which I love a good cult story. So while in college in New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. And now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas suburb. But when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast crusader, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predators more dangerous than ever. So this one also has that podcast element, which I think is super, super cool. We are getting there. So this one is one I've owned forever, and I discovered through BookTube, I think through a book castle. Is that her name? Alice, and she's Norwegian, I'm pretty sure, but through her channel. So this book I cannot find anywhere in America. Like, I went to so many bookstores and I finally got online. I love this color. But Graham Norton, he's famous, like the Graham Norton show on the BBC. But this, so I know, and it's called A Keeper, and people love Irish thrillers. I've read one, didn't really like it, unhauled it, but this one, we're gonna give it a go someday. A truth drifts out to sea, riding the waves out of sight, and then the tide turns. So Elizabeth Keane returns to Ireland after her mother's death, intent only on wrapping up that dismal part of her life. There's nothing here for her. She wonders if there ever was. The house of her childhood is stuffed full of useless things, her mother's presence already fading, and perhaps had she not found the small stash of letters, the truth would never have come to light. Now, this is one I am very excited for. Not saying what it is yet, but it's one I pre-ordered. I love big books like this. So this is Our Share of Night by Marina Enriquez. This is translated from the Spanish. I think this is an Argentine book, but yeah, it's translated by Megan McDowell. A young father and son set out on a road trip, devastated by the death of the wife and mother they both loved. United in grief, the pair travel to her ancestral home, where they must confront the terrifying legacy she has bequeathed. The woman they mourn came from a clan like no other, a centuries-old secret society called the Order that commits unspeakable acts in search of eternal life. Okay, I love books dealing with grief. I think it's so important because we all go through it, and I feel like we never see books about fathers. We see a lot of books about mothers, so I do think that's important as well. And we have secret societies, and personally, I love a good secret society. Shout out to the Illuminati. One time they asked me to join. But now we have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So this is a local book. So many people have told me to pick it up. I wasn't a huge fan of My Best Friend's Exorcism by this same author, so hopefully I like this one more. And I don't see a description anywhere on it. Is this it? Patricia Campbell's life has never felt smaller. Her husband is a workaholic, her teenage kids have their own lives, her senile mother-in-law needs constant care, and she's always a step behind on her endless to-do list. Okay, that seems like I'll hate the character because it seems like she'll be complaining about her life situation all the time. But okay. The only thing keeping her sane is her book club. A close-knit group of Charleston women united by their love of true crime. I wish I was in a book club. Then James Harris walks into her life during the summer of 1993. Love the 90s. He makes her feel things she hasn't felt in years. But when children on the other side of town go missing, Patricia wonders if he's connected. Is he a Brad Pitt, a Bundy, or something much worse? Who knows? So our last three here, it's gonna be, oh, it's 4, my bad. So this one is one that I found on the Southern Fiction table. We talked about I love Southern Fiction. This is A Land More Kind Than Home by Wiley Cash, who is from Western North Carolina and University of Louisiana, Lafayette, and he lives in West Virginia. So a lot of Southern things there. There's a lot of books on that table for Gothic Southern fiction. So let's see what it's about. For a curious boy like Jess Hall, growing up in Marshall means trouble when you get caught spying on grown-ups. Adventurous and precocious, Jess is protective of his older brother, Christopher, a mute who everyone calls Stump. I've never read about a mute character before, so I do think that will be interesting to see how it's done. Though their mother has warned them not to snoop, Stump can't help sneaking a look at something he's not supposed to, an act that will have repercussions. It's a wrenching event that thrusts Jess into adulthood, for which he's not prepared. Love stories like that coming of age. But I mean, it's not only as good why we come of age, but I do think it's interesting to see how the mind works for that. Now knows that a new understanding can bring not only danger and evil, but also the possibility of freedom and deliverance. Another book that's kind of like rural America to my understanding is On the Savage Side by Tiffany McDaniel. She wrote my favorite book that I've read this year, which is Betty, so I wanted to check out all of her books, and I basically just asked, I was like, I asked my dad, which one should I buy? He doesn't know anything about either, and this is the one he said. This is 6 women, mothers, daughters, sisters, gone missing, inspired by the unsolved murders of the Chillicothe Six. This harrowing and haunting novel tells the story of 2 sisters, both of whom could be the next victims. So this one is different from a lot of these, as it is based on a true murder case, when the others are fictional. I mean, obviously this is a fiction book, but it is based on a true story. Now we have Eileen by Otesha Moshfegh. I loved the book My Year of Rest and Relaxation, so I wanted to pick up her other books, and this was her first book, her debut novel. So this one may be pushed more towards November time or December because it takes place in the Christmas season. So the Christmas season offers little cheer for Eileen Dunlop, a young woman trapped between her role as her alcoholic father's caretaker in a home whose squalor is the talk of the neighborhood, and her day job as a secretary at the boys' prison, filled with its own quotidian horrors. Consumed by resentment and self-loathing, Eileen dreams of escaping to the big city. In the meantime, she fills her nights and weekends with shoplifting, stalking a buff prison guard named Randy, and cleaning out her increasingly deranged father's messes. When the bright and beautiful and cheery Rebecca St. John arrives on the scene as the prison's new counselor, Eileen is enchanted and proves unable to resist what appears at first to be a miraculously budding friendship. And Hitchcockian twist, her affection for Rebecca ultimately pulls her into complicity in a crime that surpasses her wildest imaginings. So I don't know what this is really like. I don't know what I'm going to get out of this because it sounds so different from her other book, but I really want to give Otesha Moshfegh another go, and I always love penguin spines. They're always so nice. Are on our last book now. Shout out to y'all who made it all the way through. So this is Why You Sleep by Stephanie Merritt, and this was a gift. This is another British looking on. Watch it be Scottish again. And it is. So, a modern day ghost story set on a remote Scottish island. Why You Sleep is a page-turning, chillingly erotic Hitchcockian thriller. So on an isolated Scottish island, the McBride house stands guard over its secrets. A century ago, a young widow and her son died mysteriously there. Just last year, a local boy visiting for a dare disappeared without a trace. So we know I love the UK settings, and then I love it being a house that has a lot of secrets from centuries. So for Zoe Adams, newly arrived from America, the house offers a refuge from her failing marriage. But her peaceful retreat is disrupted by strange and disturbing events, nighttime intrusions, unknown voices, a constant sense of being watched. Oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying, but I hate characters who are in failing marriages. It's literally one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm like, why in every book is everybody in a failing marriage? Like, I get 50% of marriages have divorce, but like, why? Why can't we have happy marriages? Like, I want people to be happy. But okay. The locals want her to believe that these incidences, my bad, are echoes of the McBride's dark past. Zoe is convinced the danger is closer at hand and all too real, but can she uncover the truth before she is silenced? So those are thrillers that I want to pick up soon, and maybe you guys want to pick up this spooky season. Definitely if you guys want another one of these videos in October, let me know in the comments below, because I can definitely do that for you guys. I think I have more thrillers around here. Hopefully I do. I think that I would, but those are all for now. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you made it all the way through, leave like a sleeping emoji in the comments below, anything that reminds you of sleep. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!